Yeah. Sixers Nation, what is going on? Welcome to another edition of Sixers Saturdays with my man Mike Sports Vibes, Tone to Shields, and yours truly, DJ Eastwood, running back Philly. We are gonna discuss everything that we weren't up here last week. I think there was a back-to-back Friday, Saturday, and the holidays coming up and everything. But yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about. I feel like shout out to the dog, shout out to Tone. What's his name, man? We got a celebrity appearance.
Oh, this is my man Loki, man. He's boy gonna be real active, real spontaneous. So
shout out to Loki on the show.
It's my
Loki. That's a cool name. You got it from the
god of mischief.
The god of mischief. Yeah.
Now here's the thing though. If he's on, this is all dependent if he's on his best behavior. If he starts acting a fool, man, then he's getting out of my office. I'll tell you that right now.
That's much like the Sixers, man. They've been acting a fool most of the season, and they've been on their best behavior for a couple of games.
Right.
A couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like our general opinion of this team is 100% different every time we go live. It's like changes from week to week, man. The Sixers have been, they won 7 of their last 10. And that number is skewed, like I've been saying, because it was Charlotte, Orlando, Chicago, Charlotte in those 10 games.
But they need those wins. They need those wins.
They on the schedule.
The last couple, the blowout against Cleveland had me down in the dumps, but the last couple, the Spurs and then, of course, the Celtics on Christmas Day, some really, really good wins. And I guess we're going to start off, man. Are what the Sixers looked like in the last couple of games making you believe that they are finally getting healthy, building chemistry, and can turn the season around from what looked like just absolute misery for the first 2 months of the season? What's your guys' overall takes on, are you back in yet?
Mike, let's start with you, dog.
You want to start with me? You want me to start? All right, I look at it like this, man. All right, I'm talking to the Sixer fan. I'm talking to y'all, man. I don't care about the other fan bases out there. I'm talking directly to the Sixer fan base, right? Now, listen, I understand the schedule is doo-doo. You know what I mean? We're not going against a lot. The teams that we beat, we didn't go against good teams, right? Good quality teams. And a lot of excuses, well, we're on this winning streak because we went against a team that didn't have a lot of their stars, like LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller didn't play a couple of games for the Hornets. But at the end of the day, right, we haven't been healthy all season. And these teams don't care about what we got going on. We taking the L's, and guess what? If they not healthy, they're going to take the L as well. So, and then we talk about the 2 quality wins. We beat the Spurs. The Spurs, they're not the best team, but they're over 500. They got Victor Wembanyama and his flopping self. You got him, right? You got some talented players on the Spurs. We beat them without Joel Embiid for the whole second half. That's a good quality win. And then on Christmas Day, right, we beat the Boston Celtics in Boston. And look, man, Joel Embiid had a good first half. Tyrese Maxey had a good game overall. Paul George, defensively, he was very good. Facilitating, he was very good. Getting rebounds, very good. Offensively, we got some questions. We got some concerns. We had Caleb Martin step his game up, do the dang on thing. And it's a good quality win. We beat the defending champions, right? We can't go against the Boston Celtics for 50 games straight to be like, it's a more of a valuable win. Like we can't do that. So it all counts. And let's think of it like this. If the Boston Celtics, right? If it was the other way around, they beat the Sixers, do you think they're going to care about, Joel Embiid didn't play. Jeremy McCain didn't play. Andre Drummond didn't play. They're going to say, y'all Sixer fans are going to have to take that L. So for us Sixer fans, we got to talk to the Celtics fans and be like, y'all going to take this L. I don't care that Drew Holiday didn't play. We didn't have Andre Drummond. We didn't have Jared McCain. And we haven't been healthy all season. The big three, Tyrese Maxey, PG8, Joel Embiid, only played like 3 games together. So, I mean, I don't want to hear no excuses from the Celtic fans. And we got to start, congratulating what's working right now. We rolling right now. So I'm happy with what we got going on. All these teams that we beat that they have injuries, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. We winning right now. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Sixers overall.
Yeah, Mike, you bring up a real good point. The bottom line is you got to play who's on your schedule for one, right? And where the Sixers are, they can't afford to drop these games against the teams that we may deem as inferior or a team that we may deem as not really a true barometer of how good they are. The bottom line is they're in no position to say, you know what, we can take a day off against this team because, that's not this isn't a game that's really going to test us, right? No, they can't afford that. They're at a point where they have to win and scratch and claw for every single game, every single win. And like Eastwood said, right, they won 7 of the last 10, right? Mm-hmm. So when you put things in perspective like that, especially how the season started, one can only begin to start thinking that, hey, maybe they are starting to turn this thing around. But, as of right now, they are 11-17. They're 6 games below 500, but there's still plenty of games left for them to get back on track.
Right.
What I love seeing, especially on Christmas, is I love seeing how each time Boston punched back, and I mean through their best punch,
right,
they were able to withstand the rally. There were times where the Sixers had double-digit leads throughout this game, and Boston said, all right, time to turn up, and they start shooting threes, and they making them. I mean, they dropping them, and some of them threes they making, I'm like, okay, this is insane. But nonetheless, they took the punch. They didn't back down. They didn't panic, and they were on the road. That wasn't a home game for them. They were in hostile territory under those circumstances against the reigning champions, a team that their first 5 made buckets with threes. So when you think about it from that perspective, you have to take it for what it is and appreciate what you're seeing, that this Sixers team has not given up yet. You got Embiid out there playing with the mask. We thought he was going to be out way longer than what he was. He came back with the mask. It speaks to how much he wants to get back on the court. I love that. Paul George didn't have his best game, but he was still a valuable guy that they had to respect out there. Tyrese Maxey, he took over that game. Right. Tyrese Maxey was the pulse. He was the heartbeat of that team during that game. I love his inbound actions, right? Whenever they were inbound the ball to him, I loved how he would just immediately cut to the basket and wouldn't waste time. I love the intensity. I love the decisiveness. He was efficient. He was effective. He was clutch down the stretch. Played good defense when it mattered most. I'm happy to see what they're doing. I'm not ready to fully jump in on the bandwagon just yet, right? Because again, they're still 6 games below 500, and this team has disappointed us before in much smaller ways, right? So it's exciting to see what we saw. Winning 7 of your last 10, it's a beautiful start, but I need to see more before I start considering this team to be quote unquote back,
unfinished business,
or before I start believing again. But I like what I saw in Boston. That was a taste. That was a semblance of what this team can be. And again, somebody said in the live chat, Paul George didn't even play well. Exactly. He didn't even play his best game. Yeah. You didn't have Jared McCain, no Andre Drummond, and you still were able to run with that team. Granted, Boston didn't have Drew Holiday, but it just proves the value of Drew Holiday and what he does for championship-winning teams, right? What he did in Milwaukee, and now they haven't been able to figure it out since. And what he's doing in Boston and how they traded for him, and he's this glue. He's this nucleus type of player that plays well around superstars, and you saw his value in that game. But like you said, Mike, hey, it don't matter who's healthy. You got to lace it up and get it going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like when we're not healthy, it's not like hockey where like you get like a half a win or a point or like whatever the point system is in hockey, right? Like it don't work like that. You got to play who you play, whoever's available, and it's straight like that. Yeah. So yeah, man. I'm with you, Mike. I'm just not ready to fully dive in head first into the pool. Right now I still got my ankles in the water, just relaxing, cooling.
Hey, will you guys real quick under settings and audio check the automatically adjust mic volume box? It is an issue that I've been having with StreamYard that I noticed. I don't know if you both have that on.
Okay, so the volume levels. So you do want me to check it?
Yeah. I remember I said don't before, And then I listened back, and the volume levels were definitely up and down. So I think
check it now.
Helps, but
Got you. You got to check.
Yeah.
I just checked it too.
Yeah,
okay.
I just hate the echo cancellation is on there, but the automatically just volume. I think that helps a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, man. Like the Celtics game showed me a lot, and I said that leading up to it. Like this is one that I'm really anticipating because even though play whoever's on your schedule, and I probably overreact a lot to the Sixers losing games or going down to the wire with bad teams when they're playing without Joel Embiid and without whoever. I think a lot of my negativity at the beginning of the season was the fact that not that they were without Joel, the fact that I thought they were going to be without him. I thought it was, you know what I mean? I thought like, obviously we're not nearly as good without him, but I just felt like we were never going to get him back. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it was difficult to assess the team at the beginning of the season a lot. So the Celtics game with all three players, Joel, Maxey, and Paul George against the Celtics in Boston, I was like, this is the one that's going to show me a lot.
Right.
And yeah, they went in there and they won it. And I think there's two things to that game that really stands out to me, man. The Sixers beat the Celtics with a good Celtics game. They beat the Celtics. It's not like we could say, well, the Celtics couldn't hit a three. They shot 18% from three. There was nothing that you could point to that said like, but that's not going to happen again. But this ain't going to happen again. They shot 49 threes at 40%. And this is a team that shoots 51 threes a game. They shoot more threes per game than any team in history. They're going to crush the record. The Boston Celtics are single-handedly responsible for the NBA's drop in ratings because they're a boring-ass team to watch. They are not fun to watch, bro. They run down the floor, pass it around the perimeter, shoot a three, run down the floor, pass it around the perimeter, shoot a three. I'm sorry, Boston Celtics fans. Actually, I'm not sorry. That's a terrible product, and the NBA needs to change things because of that. But and just, Jason Tatum acts like he's Tom Brady. He acts like he has 6 rings. He acts like the officials
can't stand him, man.
Bro, he wants them to roll out a red carpet for him, man. He's crying the whole game. I can't stand it. But anyway, and Jaylen Brown's probably the most overrated $300 million player in the history of the game. But back to what I was saying. The Celtics didn't have some kind of stat that stood out that said, like, they're not going to do that again or that was a random bad game. 49 threes at 40% from three is how they beat all the teams that they beat this year and how they won the championship last year. So the fact that you won that game with them shooting that many threes at that percentage is that just tells me that the Sixers can compete, with the right game plan. And I think the second thing is the Nick Nurse game plan. I've been ripping this guy to shreds the whole beginning of this season, but I don't even know if I shouted him out enough on my post-game reaction to that game. But Nick Nurse's game plan was perfect. His game plan was perfect because the problem the Sixers have been having with Joel Embiid being the number one option is that you're playing the game too slow. And other teams in the NBA, the rest of the league, is playing the game fast, end-to-end, and that's why they're getting up 40, 50, 51 threes a game because they're running end-to-end and shooting threes. And whether that's a boring style of basketball or not, you gotta hang with that. You can't compete with the Celtics. If you were running down the floor, dumping it to Joel on the block, taking 20 seconds to shoot a turnaround fadeaway two-pointer, you're losing that game. So I think Nick Nurse went into that game with, we got to play fast, we got to get up a lot of shots, and the answer to that is Tyrese Maxey being the number one option. The answer to that is running the game through Tyrese Maxey and then using Joel Embiid as the weapon that he is in spurts. But that whole game was run through Tyrese Maxey, and that's how they kept up with the Celtics' pace. And that's how they won the game. And they still shot 40% of 49 threes. But the perimeter defense, especially in the fourth quarter, was huge, and it won't stand out on the box score. It won't show on the stat sheet. But the way they were rotating on the perimeter in the fourth quarter and Caleb Martin's defense on Jason Tatum specifically, and then Paul George, as much as I hated his shooting splits, his defensive impact, I probably didn't shout out enough either. So, and yeah, they were without Drew Holiday. They were without Porzingis, but they were without Porzingis since they signed the guy, and they were without Porzingis when they won the championship, and Porzingis might as well retire because he can't play more than 3 games without, whatever he did. He hurt himself without being touched again. He just, jab step, hurt his leg and left the game.
Okay, I was about to say, I could have swore he played.
Yeah, I was about to, but
Yeah,
but I get what he's saying. Yeah,
it was a little step back jump shot he tried to do and tweaked like something in his left leg and limped off the floor. That guy, he can't stay healthy.
But
Not that
you're
our
right
guy
though.
can,
Like, it's funny, like to your point about the 3-point shooting for Boston and how there was nothing really that stood out in this game that was out of character or out of the ordinary for Boston, right? Like you said, like, oh, if this happened, like, this won't happen again, right? Like they didn't get Boston's best shot. No, like they took Boston's best shot on many different occasions. And I think another thing that really helped this team win this game was their own perimeter shooting, right? The Sixers, they're not the most consistent when it comes to shooting on the perimeter. They went 17 for 40, right? They got up 40 3-point shots of their own, right? It's not 49, but they got up 40. Like you said earlier, Nick Nurse knew if we're going to beat this team or even be able to run with this team or even have a chance, we got to get up a lot of shots. And we have to be aggressive. And we got to play through our speed demon and Tyrese Maxey. So I feel on that 100%. Also, the Sixers were just efficient from the field in general, right? They got 88 shots up in total. They shot 46% from the field. They didn't get out rebounded, but they were aggressive. They were aggressive and they kept fighting. So I got to give a lot of credit to Nick Nurse for the game plan and sticking with it.
And, for me personally, like that first half, man, I feel like the Sixers could have really, because I think we won the first half, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that the Celtics shot from 60% from three by halftime. So the perimeter defense definitely got a lot better as the game went on. And like you said, Caleb Martin, I mean, he was bricking for chicken all season long. It looked like he was in a lot of pain when he shot the ball, but even though it still looks like it's kind of like, looks like he's in pain when he shoots the ball, he was excellent. 7 of 9 from three, 23 points. But the main thing for me, other than shooting that three, was the perimeter defense. And then on top of that, Yabusele got to get some love too. There was some plays where he would steal the ball, dive on the floor, grab the ball. That shows a lot of heart and desire. And that's what we need. And we out-hustled the Boston Celtics, in Boston. And that's hard to do. We outplayed the Boston in the stretch. Because in the fourth quarter, didn't they get the lead in the fourth quarter a couple of times? I think they got the lead, and we got the lead right back. Yeah, and a couple of times it kept going back and forth. It was tied. They got the lead. We got the ball back. We got the lead back, and so it was just like I just love the heart of the Sixers, because usually another Sixers team a couple years ago or last year, they would lose this game. We will lose this game, but it just shows the character that that we have right now. I'm not trying to over exaggerate like what we got going on, because we still got unfinished business. But at the same time, we're starting to build chemistry, and I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
Yeah, you said something real interesting, Mike. The fact that there were a couple times where the Celtics did catch a lead on them, but it wasn't really. Come on, man. It wasn't really about much. Their largest lead in the game was 4 points.
Right.
The Sixers' largest lead in the game was 16 points.
16.
So it just shows you who really was dominating the momentum in that game, who really was controlling that game for the most part. And yeah, although the Celtics did shoot their hearts out, there was never a moment where the Sixers allowed them to take full grip of the game, and that's something we normally don't see. There was a point in the third quarter where the Celtics took the lead, because the Sixers, they have a good third quarter. They only made 16 points, or got up 16 points. So when the Celtics got that little lead on them, they regrouped. What I liked the most about this game was Nick Nurse's timely timeouts. And his timeouts, to me, it looked like he didn't necessarily change too much. He just regrouped and said, "Okay, you guys, let's slow down for a second. Let's get back to what we're trying to do here. Let's not lose ourselves in this game." So Nick Nurse also responded to the adversity very well.
Right, yeah. I like that.
When you look at the Sixers 3-point shooting in this game, and if you try to say also, people could say, well, they're not always going to shoot 42.5% from three on 40 attempts, but if you look at the numbers that were like a little wild, that probably aren't going to be consistent. Caleb Martin 7 for 9 from three. Joel Embiid 4 for 5 from three.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Paul George was 0 for 7 from three.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Balances out, right?
Right, exactly. And Oubre was 0 for 2, and he hits some games too. So if Paul George shoots more of a realistic percentage, better than 0%, yeah. I mean, I don't see anything that tells me that they can't play like this consistently. And Yabusele, the bench was all Yabusele. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
I think the Sixers playing without KJ Martin is under mentioned also. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because,
that's another injury.
yeah, especially with their perimeter defense. KJ Martin he's one of their best defenders on the whole roster. And just a couple of games ago, you got 20 points off the bench for KJ. And I think the next game he had 11. So you add his abilities to the bench too, him and Yabusele. The rest of this bench, I mean, if they feel like they can be contenders, they got to do something at the trade deadline, because this Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson thing is not gonna get it done moving forward. You know what I mean? But if you know Drummond's out, Ricky Council, a DNP, I thought that was interesting, but Nurse doesn't trust him. He's inconsistent, I guess. I thought, I still can't figure out how Adem Bona's not getting any minutes at all, especially with Drummond out. I thought we were definitely going to see some young backup center minutes for Adem Bona, but Nurse went full on playoff 8-man rotation, and Yabusele really held down the bench. And not that the Celtics bench is any better. If you really look at the Celtics bench, man, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, and who? Peyton Pritchard was cooked. He was 1 for 9. He was 0 for 8 from 3. So that
and he was in foul trouble throughout that game as well. He couldn't guard Maxey to save his life. He was struggling all night.
Right.
That too. And you got to take advantage of that, man. And you got to. The whole answer here was Tyrese Maxey. I mean, 41 minutes, 23 field goal attempts. And in this offseason, I said, I could see, I was like, with Joel Embiid knee surgery and the Tyrese Maxey getting better and better every year, I could see Tyrese Maxey being the leading scorer on this team. And I didn't think that was that crazy to say in like August or whenever I said it. And people were like, nah, bro, it's still Joel Embiid's still an MVP player. Joel Embiid this, Joel Embiid that. And I'm like, yeah,
that is not crazy to say.
You need to play a faster game.
Right.
You got to play a faster game to compete in this NBA.
Yeah, and to your point, right? Maxey didn't, even though Maxey was the primary guy, right? Joel Embiid played 31 minutes and still gave you 27 points. It was efficient. So that needs to be the formula, right? Hey, Maxey, we're riding your wave. Embiid, get in where you fit in.
Right.
Get in where you fit in.
And only just imagine, not to cut you off, Tom, my bad.
No, you fine. Please go.
Only imagine if Paul George was a little bit better on the offensive side of the ball. We would have beat the brace off of the Celtics, man. Paul George, what was his 3-point percentage this game? How many threes he made?
He was 0 for 7. He didn't make any. He didn't make any.
He was 0 for 7.
Half his shots were from distance. Half his shots from distance.
Some of them, bro.
That's my point.
Some of them, there was a big one in the corner when the momentum was swinging that I thought was going to be huge, and he even missed that one. I was like, damn, this guy can't make anything in this game.
I don't know. Maybe the defense, guarding Tatum and Jaylen Brown took a lot out of his offense. I don't know.
That's a good point, Mike. It be like that sometimes for these guys, right?
It might.
When you're tasked with guarding the toughest guy on the opposite end, sometimes you don't have the legs on the other side.
And
sometimes certain players got to.
And you're 34 years old too.
Exactly. Like certain players, you got to go into a game and you got to decide, okay, I got to get my shots where I can get them. Because think about it, half his shots are from deep. That tells you he wasn't really trying to drive. He wasn't really trying to, rise up in the paint. So you may be right, Mike.
Right. The only thing about Joel Embiid. Only thing about Joel Embiid, I understand he was 4 or 5 from 3. That's not like a norm. That's not a normal thing. You know what I mean? But my whole thing with Joel, like, I don't understand. Like, I know he's so gifted. He has the best footwork in the post. I just don't understand why he's doing a fadeaway from the post when you're right there. The basket's right there. Why are you doing a fadeaway jump shot? Like, it's right there. Do a hook shot. And he's like, he just makes the game sometimes a little bit more complicated than what it should be. Just make it easy. Why are you doing a fadeaway when you're only 3 feet away from the basket?
How often do we see him
like that, though? He's always been more finesse than people want him to be.
But here's
the
thing, right?
Play like that.
How come? Yes, right. He has always been more finesse than bully ball, right? But I feel like we hardly ever see him just take the easy route. Like, hey, listen, you're a big man. Give us a classic hook, a classic, like, you know what I mean? Like, just, you're right, Mike. For some
reason,
he
can do it, though. We've seen him do it. He's one, like, I'm telling you, nobody can guard Joel Embiid in the post. You have to double team him or you're going to get cooked. So if you don't double team him, you're getting cooked. You're going to go to the free throw line. It's just like, I know the double team's coming, he's going to pass it up, but sometimes, and I know he's trying to fade away from the double team and all that, But sometimes, like some of the shots, it's just like, dude, you just made that a little bit more complicated when you could have just got that easy bucket or got to the free throw line. And sometimes, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all. Sometimes when Joel Embiid shoots a 3 and he makes it, I'll be kind of mad because I'll be like, damn, he's gonna think he's Steph Curry. He's gonna think he's Klay Thompson or Ray Allen or Reggie Miller. He's gonna keep on shooting the threes.
And you may not even. And on top of that, you say to yourself, I don't even like the shot selection. I don't like.
Yeah,
bro. They look like prayers for the most part.
Yeah,
I think he's not to use this term that's been overused, but he's still ramping up. You know what I mean? He is though. It's sad.
Do you believe that for real?
Yeah, he just got back. He's only played what? He's only played like 3 games. You know what I mean? And I remember seasons where he's played a lot more than he played this year. Where as the season goes on, he gets more physical, and as the season goes on, he starts to body people in the paint and things like that. I honestly, it's taken the whole season, but I still think he's like game by game getting his legs under him, trusting his knee, getting back to playing physical. He has definitely been not the physical version of himself that he's been over the years so far this season. But I think as the season goes on, if he's consistently out there, he'll start to play more of a physical game. So Joel Embiid, this is the ramp up season. He's at the point in his career now where he needs the entire season to get ready to go.
I also think he's at the point in his career where you need to focus on the simple things, right? And what I mean by that is, Tim Duncan's game was so boring.
Oh man,
they called him Mr. Fundamental, right?
Yeah.
The fundamental, right? And he would drop 40 on you on just basic as hooks, right hand, left hand,
off the backboard.
Like, I think Embiid, because he's so talented and gifted and has amazing touch at the rim, I would love Embiid to just focus on the simple things. Don't try to fade away every time. Don't try to do a Euro step all the time. Like, get the ball, get it up quick. Like, because again, we're going to play through Maxey. I think that's the recipe going forward. But I would love to see Embiid just kind of convert his game to focusing more on the simple part of basketball. Just get the ball up, put the points up. Who cares how it looks? Just get the ball up.
Yeah.
For me, this Tyrese Maxey's game, I think he's the future of this team, and I think he's the lead. I think he's the leader right now. And in the beginning of the season, without Joel and Paul George, everyone, myself included, I was on him too about his shot selection and just his percentages were terrible, and he was just forcing things. And but you get Joel and Paul George back, and even if Paul George is shooting terrible, he's still somebody that the defense has to pay attention to. And if you take a little bit of that attention off of Tyrese Maxey, now he's dropping 30 or 40 because he's just they were double teaming him around screens the whole beginning of the season because why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Make him get rid of the ball. Who else is going to beat you? Now he gets these guys back, and Tyrese with those guys on the floor. And man, he's so good. He's so good. And if you can't double him around screens, they even doubled him around the screen in the third quarter when he split the defense and threw down that left-handed dunk in the paint.
And he's throwing it down. I'm like, yo, Tyrese.
Yeah, and you see him start to get confident, and he just
talking trash too.
It's wild because some games in the beginning of the season when he doesn't look confident, it looks like, wow, this guy can't get a bucket at all. And then when he starts cooking like he was in that Celtics game, it's like, wow, he can't be stopped actually. So, I think everybody, including Tyrese, is hitting their stride right now in that game. That game showed me what I needed to see, man. Now they need, and Daryl Morey's going to do it anyway. A lot of people want to do this like, they shouldn't give up assets. They should wait until next season or something. Daryl Morey's not going to do that, bro, especially to save his own reputation. He put this team together. He wants his team to be a contender. He doesn't want to look like a fool. He's going to go in at the trade deadline, man. He's going to do some things with the assets and certain players to try to bolster this bench. If you add a backup point guard and another 3-and-D power forward, then I'm feeling real good about this team if everybody can stay on the floor.
Yeah, Mike, I feel like the biggest difference in that game for me from games we've seen in the past, obviously the opponent, right? But I feel like they decided very early in that game that we're going to out-hustle them, and we're not going to let them beat us mentally.
Right.
And I just feel like there are times where the Sixers just come off as not as focused or disengaged, right, throughout the season. And this was a game where I feel like they were just fully lockstep. Like everybody was on the same page. Everybody knew what their role was. Everybody stepped up when it mattered most. I feel like the biggest difference in this game and the biggest difference in this win than many other wins, many other games, is the level, is the intensity, the level of focus, and the commitment to hustle. And that's something we shouldn't have to even have a conversation about. But unfortunately, it is something we have to talk about with this team, right? Do you guys believe that do you guys believe that what we saw from the mental side of the game, right, and from the heart side of the game, do you think that's something that they can maintain, or something that, you know, or does that play into the big question, like, did they turn it around? You know, like you know, I need to get y'all thoughts on that part of it.
I think they can maintain it. The thing is, what is it going to be with the back-to-back games? I'm not sure how many more back-to-back games we have for the rest of the season. So, because it's all about chemistry, you know what I mean? Beating a team like the Boston Celtics, they have team chemistry. They're the champions for a reason. And our big three, they only played 3 games together in their whole career. So it's just like, if we can build that team chemistry, anything is possible, but it's just going to take time. But in order for us to do that, is we got to stay healthy for one. And for 2, they got to play some back-to-back. So I'm not really sure what the mindset is when it comes to the Sixers, when it comes to that. And then anything can happen. Anything's possible.
Yeah, they're going to have to play some back-to-backs, man. They're going to have to. They're going to have to. Well, yeah. I need everybody to feed off of this Caleb Martin game, because I keep going back to that perimeter defense. And Tone, when you talked about how they looked more intense in this game than they have this season, they were so bad some of these games defensively, perimeter especially. Well, in the paint too. They couldn't guard the rim without Joel Embiid in there. Right. And I want to shout out also Joel Embiid's, just his impact in the interior when he's out there. Like, the guy still doesn't look like he's close to 100% right now. And it changes everything with him in the paint, man. And a man that size, he won't ever have the athleticism he had in 2016, but still a man that size jumping straight up in front of the rim changes everything about the other team's entire game plan. You know what I mean? So if they could get another center that could do even close to that, I would feel a lot better about it. But throughout this season, they've been really bad defending the rim, and they've been really bad on the perimeter, just giving up wide open threes left and right. In this game, I saw a different level of intensity. I agree with you, and I think it all started with Caleb Martin. And what I need from Caleb Martin is for him to play like that against other teams. They call him the Celtics killer. Like, why can't you be a killer against anybody else? What are the odds?
It's just something about that green. It's something about that green, y'all.
I need him to hate the rest of the NBA as much as he hates the Boston Celtics, man. I don't know what we need to do. We need to, you know, I don't know. We need to put something in the locker room that makes him think of the Celtics every game. Maybe if we can hypnotize him to thinking he's playing the Boston Celtics every game, then we'll get that out of him. I don't know, man. We need to do something. But if Caleb Martin can you know, build off of this. And, I mean, it looks like he got his shot back. I don't want to jump on it because it's only 2 games. And in the beginning of the season, he was shooting 18% from 3. But since he was out a couple of games with the shoulder impingement, whatever they did, I don't know, deep tissue massage, or if he was in a chiropractor, or if somebody gave him a new shoulder, the Ripper Doc on Cyberpunk, they gave him a whole new left arm or something. If he can build off of this, and the rest of the team can feed off of that, and then you add KJ Martin in there too, because his perimeter defense is great too, and he didn't even play in this game. So it's the beginning of the season for me. It was a lot about the roster. And you know, these guys out without Joel, and with Caleb Martin playing as bad as he was, they're slow. They're not unathletic. And then you just those 2 things, Joel being back in the middle of the paint and Caleb Martin playing like the Celtics killer,
they look different.
Changed the whole defense. Yeah,
they look a lot different. And I feel like Tyrese Maxey, in my opinion, I feel like ever since like Joel Embiid's coming back and he called out Joel Embiid been playing a couple of games, I guess. How many games he played? Like 4 or 5 games. He just seems like he's better, way better when we have Joel Embiid on the floor. You know what I mean? People. You know what I mean? It's hard for him to be the number 1 option without Joel Embiid being on the floor. He could be the number 1 option, but Joel Embiid has to be on that floor to take some of that pressure off of him. You know what I'm saying? Because when you put everything on Tyrese and Paul George, no disrespect, the man got to work on his game when it comes to the offense. But that's another story for another day. But Tyrese Maxey, he just can't just do it by himself when there's no Joel Embiid on the floor. You need that threat of Joel Embiid dominating in the paint. You need that threat of that guy Joel Embiid, former MVP, 2-time scoring champion, to shoot that three. You know what I mean? You need that threat. So that's why Tyrese Maxey's game is, in my opinion, is starting to look a lot better. You know what I mean? And my biggest concern, though, to be honest with you, is our backup center. I'm not really sure what's going on with Andre Drummond. I think it was a toe contusion, or what was his injury? I forgot.
He tweaked his ankle a little bit in the last game that he played, and he didn't come back in the game.
Tweaked his ankle.
They said sprained left toe.
Sprained left toe. And then my other concern, what you said, Eastwood, is the point guard position, the backup point guard position. Kyle Lowry, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But Reggie Jackson, my goodness, we got to figure out something. You know what I mean? That, and it sucks because Jerry McCain's out for this season, man. That's why I don't feel bad for these other teams when they complain, oh, well, you beat a team without their players.
He's officially out for the year.
Yeah, he's out for this. He out for the season, so it's just like it sucks. That was a big loss for us. He was going to be the rookie of the year before he got hurt. So it's just like,
if we still had him coming off the bench, I would feel a lot better about everything. You're right,
bro. So like we have to get a point guard, because I don't feel confident like when it gets down to it, when we go against the Celtics or the Knicks or the Cavs in the playoffs, and our backup center, we got Reggie Jackson playing for us, man. It's gonna get real spooky for us, y'all. I'm just gonna keep it real. Well, Mike, I don't want to see Reggie Jackson.
Mike, you said something real key though, like the fact that it's not that, because there was a debate for a little while, like saying that Maxey can't be your number one option. Maxey can't be the guy, right? It is not that Maxey can't be your number one option.
Right.
He just can't be your number one option without Joel Embiid and his guys, right? That's the difference, right? He can be your number one option. Go ahead, Eastwood.
Right, and people do that a lot, but you can look at any sport, you can look at any team. What guy did it by themselves? You know what I mean? Anytime somebody wants to, and yeah, it wasn't good. There's players that have better percentages and better games than he was having at the beginning of the season solo. But like they used to do it with even LeBron on certain teams or whatever. Oh, he couldn't do that with the Cavs the first time around or whatever. Like, who was on the squad?
Booby Gibson? Like, are we serious?
You know what I mean? Michael Jordan got swept 2 years in a row by the Detroit Pistons in the late 80s. He was the NBA's golden child from the jump. Yeah. He was dropping 35 points a game and losing because who else was on the team? Then you got Scottie Pippen, and you trade for Dennis Rodman, and you get Tony Kukoc and Steve Kerr, and
there's one person who almost did it. One person who almost did it by themselves. AI. He was close.
Allen Iverson.
He came close. He came close. They got that first game, but again, just
we could have got the second game too.
Right. And then he ran into a team that had two superstars and a good supporting cast, and there's just nothing you can do.
Can't do nothing about it.
So everybody needs that. And you take that little bit of pressure off of Tyrese Maxey. Now he's feeling comfortable, and now, Tyrese Maxey might go on a run right here in the next 10 games, man. He might go on a run that people are not ready to talk about.
Is this the kind of win? The kind of like the win, the opponent, the circumstances. Again, you beat the Celtics, the reigning champs. You beat them on the road. You were pretty dominant throughout the game. You took their best punch. They shot above 40% from three. Like, is this the kind of game, the kind of win that can really catapult your season going forward, in your guys' opinion?
I think it should. But will it? I mean, I think it should, because I feel like if you could beat the defending champions, your rivals, like true rivals throughout the history of the NBA's Sixers and the Celtics. The rivalry goes back since Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell days and all that. So if you could beat them, right, and take their best punch and make it out of there and beat them on their own court.
On Christmas, big game. Without a backup center, without your rookie of the year, without KJ Martin on defense, you know what I mean? I feel like I think we have a chance. And that's why I'm like, that's why I don't be feeling bad for these teams that be talking about when they don't have their players. We didn't have our players all year. And now, since we have the big three now, the most important three players on our team, and they're healthy, now look what's happening.
Yeah, let's let's do this, man. Let's do this because speaking of which, let's look at the next 10 games. Utah, Portland, Sacramento, Golden State, Brooklyn, Phoenix, Washington, New Orleans, Orlando. I mean, you don't really play Golden State with Steph Curry still is a team that can get hot.
Yeah, they've been struggling lately. But you're right. That's the team you have to, and you're on the road. You got to respect that. But this can be a run. This could be a stretch where you can get your team back to 500 at the very least.
The Kings just lost to the Pistons and fired their coach the next day.
Yeah, and they're about to trade Fox. I'm hearing there's rumors that they could possibly trade him.
The Kings, just when you think they're in it, they remind you that, hey, we're still the Kings. Like, you fired the coach that brought you back to relevancy. You found the coach. You fired the coach who figured out how to maximize De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk and all those boys and Sabonis. All those guys had career years under Mike Brown,
right?
And you fired them because you're a few games below 500 at this point in the season.
And roster construction is not his fault, dude. Listen, adding DeMar DeRozan, I'm sorry, to a team in 2024 is a bad move. I said that. I've been saying that about that guy. He doesn't shoot threes.
Yeah.
He's a 1995 mid-range jump shot basketball player, and he doesn't help your team. He's not a player that impacts a game like overall wins. I don't. That's my opinion on DeMar DeRozan. A lot of people were like, we should trade for DeRozan when he was available. I was like, hell no, bro. You need space.
Yeah.
This guy just, I don't know, man. He a highly skilled player. I don't think he impacts winning as much as the Kings thought he was.
I think his game is more so suited for the playoffs.
Yeah,
and you put him and Sabonis on the floor together, though, that's a spacing disaster. And it's not like De'Aaron Fox is. It's not like De'Aaron Fox is a high percentage 3-point shooter.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
that's a very good point.
That is true.
But anyway, let's do a prediction of in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next 10
Is that a 4-game road trip? Oh, well, technically, if you count Boston, it's a 5-game road trip.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 6-game road trip.
Six games.
Count Boston.
Okay.
Gosh,
but yeah, West Coast. Damn, bro, my sleep is gonna be jacked. 10 p.m. 10 p.m. 10 p.m.
They may, honestly, they may drop that Golden State one.
I think they're gonna win that game.
You know, and I'm only saying that because of the law of averages, right? I just, if they go on like a 4 or 5 game winning streak, I'd be like, oh, damn, okay. On the road, that'd be tough. That's tough to me.
That's a back-to-back though. The Kings and Warriors game. So we don't know who's gonna play. Is Paul George gonna play? Is Joel Embiid gonna play? If they play, then I think they got a chance. But if not, but it's a TNT game. So why would they? I don't know. Would they sit them out on a TNT game?
And the league is very big on their national televised games.
The NBA doesn't want to sit them out, but
if anything, they may have them sit out the SAC game.
Yeah, they could sit out Sacramento. Yeah,
but that's obviously not what we want, right? You want these guys on the court getting. Listen, I still stand by what I said, man. Like if they can't get about 40 games together on the season, I have a hard time believing that they can get out of the second round, but. Again, that's a conversation for another day. I think you guys said it best. They need to at least try. Go out there and try. Even if you put them on a minutes, even if you put certain guys on a minutes restriction, like just go out there and try.
Something's better than nothing. You know
Something's better than nothing.
And we gotta. I'm tired of this, man. Like all this stupid, like there has to be. The NBA has to do something, man. I feel I feel like the Spurs.
It's too late.
I don't know if it was the Spurs. I don't know if they started it because when they was resting Tim Duncan and all that. I don't know if they started it, but oh my goodness, bro, like it's out of control, and I think that's another reason why the ratings in the NBA is starting to go to trash because of that. And then like what you said, like 3-point shooting, and then the flopping, and it's just. There's a lot of things that have to change, man.
Speaking of,
you know who I think started it? You know who I think started it for real, like on a mainstream level? And this is a hot take, and I'm a huge fan of his. I watched his entire career. LeBron James started this shit, bro. LeBron James made it cool to sit out. He made it cool.
It's funny you say that because
he made it cool to sit out. There would be a national game, Cavs versus Warriors. And it'd be like LeBron is out, Amon Shumpert is out, RJ Smith is out, the whole squad, and they're on the bench just smiling, hanging out, and it would just be rest. He started that shit.
No, it's funny you say that, right? And the operative word you said was mainstream. because when it's funny when the Spurs do something. Well, we and they're the only ones doing it. We always say, "Oh, that's just the Spurs being the Spurs."
It's the Spurs, right?
Spurs being
right.
the Spurs,
Because
right?
Leonard was sitting out too with the Spurs,
right?
Kawhi been
Right.
sitting out for 10 years.
Tony, Ginobili, he rested everybody.
Right. We would just chalk it up to say, you know what, that's the Spurs doing Spurs shit.
They just do that.
But then when the league adopts a Spurs mentality, right, a la, like you said, LeBron James making it mainstream, it's like, okay, wait, what the hell's going on, right? It's almost like it's not about who did it first, it's about who did it best.
Yeah.
And you could argue LeBron James was definitely, in that, right? But that also begs the question, right? At that point, LeBron, I guess for me, in the context of this conversation, LeBron put a lot of miles on them wheels, man.
He did.
All those deep playoff runs, like 7. What was it? What was it, like 7, 8 seasons going to the finals? Like,
Amazing. I don't know.
Yeah.
like so, I can kind of make sense of it for him. But when the league starts adopting it as a whole, it's like, all right, man. Like,
everybody's doing it.
I don't think he invented it. I think that he embraced it. I think the sports scientists, modern day sports medicine, and all the studies and everything, they were like, we should rest you this many games per season to have you here, and like all of the analytics and everything is what really started it. Because back in the day, it was like there wasn't much of a thought process going into that. It was just we play every night, and Iverson's out there with a fractured wrist and something else, and he's still getting bodied, still going hard. And the NBA has to find a way to get that back. I don't know what the answer is, man.
What do you guys think is the biggest issue? Like, what's the paramount issue, guys? Because we named a few issues, right? The 3-point shooting, the flopping, and the inconsistent refereeing. What do you guys think is the biggest issue that they have to fix?
I think they need to change something about the game, because what I think happened is the really smart people figured it out. For most of the NBA, it was just the athletes running everything, right? And they were like, we go, we play hard, we play physical, we body, we dunk on people, we do this. And at some point, the smart people who may have never played basketball at all started to get into these positions, and they were like, wait a minute. Some genius was like, did you know that 33% from 3-point range is better than 50% from 2?
Right.
Like, it is.
Adds up.
They were like, so why are we going in the paint, getting physical, getting injured, when we could just shoot threes? And, that, and then the resting, these guys were like, well, it's, studies show that if you rest this much, then this. So they figured it out. I don't know what the answer is. They figured it out. That's a big problem. The difference between 3 and 2 is a huge problem, because it's too much of a difference. 3 is way too much of a difference from 2, because if 33% from 3 is better than 50% from 2, there's a problem.
That's insane.
Now they figured it out.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and if they're shooting at a high percentage of your team, that team is.
So what can you
gotta
change?
match them?
You gotta almost
match them.
So do we have to see? Because I want to still maintain the integrity of the game.
Right.
But like, how do you deconstruct it and rebuild it in a way that maintains the integrity? Do we change the point system?
I don't think.
I think so. That's what I think.
How could you though? Like, how could you?
I don't know, but I think, Mike, I'm gonna let you go for a second. But I think here's what I think. I think that the NBA has eras, and there was a pre-3-point era where there wasn't even a 3-point line. They added the 3-point line, and that was a major change. Everybody's scared to make a major change, but they made that major change.
Right.
I think it's starting to get time to make another major change, and I don't know if it's change it to 3s and 4s.
That's what I was about to say.
Crazy, but
yeah, I was gonna say
maybe change
the scoring being
usually
200.
4-point line.
But it would bring the physicality back to the game, because that 4-point shot isn't as much of a difference from the, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be as valuable as a shot. The 3-point shot is too valuable.
Right.
That's what I think.
So where would you put the 4? Like, where would it be at? Like
the
right?
Same. Just
the same.
Also, just keep the structure of the court the same. Just turn 2s to 3s and 3s to 4s.
Yep.
I don't know.
2s or 3s and 3s or 4s.
But the math is still the same, right?
It would be a 200-point game or whatever. But the 4-point shot would not be as valuable anymore, because 3 is so much more than 2. 4 is not that much more than 3. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
What
You're
about
going from 33% difference to 25% difference?
Okay, all right. I see what you're saying.
I would like it to be even less than that. Change it to 4s and 5s.
4s and 5s. Oh my goodness gracious.
My man right here, Rank Scrub, he mentioned moving the 3-point line back a little bit.
Yeah, make it harder.
I feel like
make it harder.
Making
that might
the shot harder
yeah.
would force or if anything, right?
They're already shooting it from out there though.
Get rid of the okay, you know how the 3-point line goes all the way around to the corner, right? Like widen it. Widen the 3-point line so it makes it more difficult to shoot. And even if you pull up from the corner, it's a 2-pointer. You get what I'm saying? It makes people less inclined to shoot threes.
I don't know,
because
man.
the shortest distance for a 3-point shot is that corner shot.
The corner shot. Right.
Yeah.
That's the shortest distance.
You could take away the corner. You could take away the corner 3 in general. You could just have an arc at like the
arc just going
like the top.
like
just the arc.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That connects with the out of bounds line.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. I can see that.
That will cut down on 3-point attempts. That will cut down on 3-point attempts, and it'll increase the value of them. And teams will actually have the game plan for how they want to include threes in their mode of action. You know what I mean?
Whew. Man, I don't know. They said DeRozan would retire. Yeah, he probably would retire.
Actually, if you widen the 3-point line and made it just the arc, DeRozan might extend his career a little bit with those twos.
There was a dude that called. Into this Sirius XM NBA show that I listened to, and he was like, "I think you should make it so that only 10 threes a game count, and you got to use them whenever you want. You if you save it to the fourth quarter, or
I like that too, though.
That's tough, only though. How do you legislate that on a regular basis? Like that's kind of hard to legislate. Just
once you make 10 threes, the rest of them are worth 2.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not necessarily saying if you shoot a 3, it's a foul. You can't do that. No, like let them keep playing. But once you hit your 3 quota, everything else counts as 2s for your team.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like that. I like that. I think that's a good idea.
And that's a more direct way of being like, listen, you guys are making too many threes, so now you're only allowed to make 10. Serious, simple solution.
Right.
It's
right.
Joseph Jackson said that could be a little too messy. I understand what he mean by that. Like it's really technical. Like it's something you really got to keep track of.
Right.
And also it would affect stats as well, and how guys 3-point efficiency. Like it would really affect man.
Yeah. But then it would, in the history books, the 3-point era would stand out, and that would just be what it is. It would be like, yeah, look at these 10 years. That was before they made this change.
That's a good point. And it would discourage teams from allowing their bigs to take their 3-point shots.
Right. Yeah. It's like I dare you to shoot a 3.
I'm not wasting my 10 threes on Joel Embiid. You know
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I like that.
Hey, listen, man.
That ain't a bad idea.
Unfortunately, we don't get paid the big bucks to make those decisions. So,
but yeah, it was the I was just watching a montage of like the 50 best dunks in NBA history or whatever, and I'm like, damn, man, like I feel like it used to be a nightly thing where it was just a lot more physical. There was guys attacking the rim way more than they do now.
Yeah. And that's why I like John Morant, man. John Morant, I like the way he plays the game, bro. He don't be just settling for threes. He gonna drive to the lane. He gonna try to dunk on your face.
I
like that, bro. I love it, bro.
Yeah, and also I miss the days where I don't know if you guys remember this back. I can't remember if it was 2K. I can't remember if it was 2K11 or 12. The one where Michael Jordan was on the front for the first time. Remember how, if you guys play 2K, you know how you can, when you call a timeout, you can change your sets. You know what I mean? I feel like now we're not seeing too many unique sets and too many creative sets anymore, right? It's pretty much everybody just camp out on the 3-point line. You may have one big in the paint for the most part. Like you're not seeing the strategy behind the game anymore, in my humble opinion.
Right.
And that's mainly because of the 3-point shot. Right.
It took a lot out of the game.
Yeah. I love seeing the creative. I was watching Eastwood. You mentioned a montage about dunks, right? I was watching like a montage of some of the Spurs' best plays and best moments or whatever, and I'm just seeing how they're passing the ball, guys are driving, kicking it. Like I'm just seeing the creativity and the sets and the screens they're doing and the ball movement. I'm seeing the creativity, and you're seeing the strategy. And I'm like, the game lacks strategy now. It's just threes and layups. There's no real art to it anymore.
It's not. It's boring.
There was
kind
a
of,
specialist
like
in the late 90s and stuff. I feel like every team had a 3-point specialist. You know, it was only one guy. Steve Kerr on the Bulls. It was only one guy that was really the specialist.
Yeah,
now everybody's a 3-point
Robert
specialist.
Horry on the Lakers, and like you had your specialist.
Now everybody's a 3-point specialist.
right.
Everybody.
The centers, everybody. It's like imagine Ben Wallace shooting threes. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody has to shoot a three now. You know, it's crazy, man. But how do we stop the flopping though, y'all? How do we stop that?
Yo,
Wembanyama
flop was out of order.
Carlos,
Bruh.
thanks for the super chat. Let me read. It has to do with the same thing. Carlos said, the NBA will always screw the fan. They do what they do. The NBA is doing too much experimenting, and these refs, SMH. Yeah, go ahead. Continue what you were about to say.
Yeah, what are we gonna do about the flopping? Like, how can we slow it down? Because I feel like it just went. I don't know, man. That's messing up the game as well. Like that one foul that Victor Wembanyama barely got touched by Andre Drummond. He went flying across the court like someone
didn't touch him. That's the thing.
He didn't touch him at all,
Right,
really. And he just went flying on the court, and they ejected him out the game. And then they did the replay, and they're like, "Yo, you barely got touched," and they gave us a technical free throw. But my whole thing is, what are we going to do to stop that? Because I think that's another thing that's messing up the game with the flopping and over exaggerating. That's why I say the NBA players, their second career should be acting, because the way they be acting and making it seem like they're getting beat up and all that, they make a lot of money. They'll make a lot of money.
Mike, it's funny you say that. I think you have to up the repercussions or the consequences of flopping, right?
Yeah.
Fines, right?
Not just fines,
Suspension.
If you a suspension, because flopping is not only slowing the game down, you're fucking with the integrity of the game now,
Right. It's doing.
And on top of that, honestly, I think one of the main things, one of the easiest things you can do is stop calling fouls. Redetermine what's a foul. You know what I mean? Like, I remember back in the day, you had to really sock somebody to get a foul. You know what I'm saying? And I low key hate starting sentences with back in the day because it makes it sound really old.
Right.
But the reality is, right? You can't even breathe on these dudes. You can't breathe on them. And the one ref, she ejected Andre Drummond, and all of a sudden, I screwed up. Let's bring it back in. Like, we ain't got time for that. Just get it right. It right. Make it very clear what a foul is. Make it very clear. Like, stop calling them for every little thing. I think that's how you stop the flopping.
And then they'll wait until they miss the shot to call a foul. So if they would have made it, you wasn't going to call the foul? Like, late calls.
That call on Drummond was an emotional call, because just the play before that, she called a foul on Drummond for he tried to push through a Wemby screen and Wemby flopped. She called that foul. It looked like an aggressive push because Wemby threw himself on the floor. So the very next possession, all she saw was Wemby slide across the floor again, and she assumed. And I don't want to say that, male ref versus female ref.
But they all suck, honestly. I'm being honest. They all suck.
Yo.
They all suck, if you ask me.
Yeah. At least she admitted she was wrong.
Right. I've never seen that before. I'll give her credit for that.
How did she say it though?
But how
did she say I was wrong or I effed up? Because I keep seeing different.
Yeah, she said I fucked up. My bad.
Okay, good. I like that.
She walked up the nurse and I think she tapped.
But I want to know why though. Why did you mess up like that? Because you didn't see the foul happen. So how did you go through whatever training there is to be an official, and you just saw a guy slide across the floor and assumed something and kicked somebody out of the game, and you didn't see what happened?
It's like no other ref seen it. Like, why didn't they correct her?
They did.
Then why ain't they correct her? Like, yo,
well, they did.
That's not what happened. Like,
they walked right over to as soon as the replay went up on the screen, they were like, "Oh shit!" And they went over to the side and had the conversation about it and brought him back in the game.
But that conversation should have happened before you decided to eject him.
Yeah, right. You know, emotional.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that conversation should, like in the NFL, right? If someone throws a flag or whatever, and it's kind of iffy, they meet real quick. Blah 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 blah. All right, no foul on the play or no penalty on the play. Let's play ball. Like, it shouldn't have been an ejection. It should have been a conversation first.
Right. I agree.
It's the fact that she wasn't even calling just normal. She was calling technical fouls. She was like
technical.
Yeah, she wasn't just calling a foul that wasn't a foul. She was throwing out tees, bro. She was on a heater. She was throwing.
You get a technical.
She was trying to set a record for technical fouls. But I think the biggest problem is that, and this probably started. I feel like this started the most with 2016 James Harden. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. But what he mastered is tricking the officials. What he mastered is moving my body in a way that looks like the defender fouled me. He mastered it. And it was a problem then, and now it's because the game is too fast and the players are good at making it look like a foul. And then you see the replay and you're like, wait a minute, that wasn't a foul. So the only way to really fix it, I think, is to have somebody, a team of people reviewing every single game and watching it in slow motion and saying what was obviously an intentional flop and send them $100,000 fine. Boom, done. They'll stop doing it.
That will stop that shit. Right.
Fast.
Right. 100. You said you went 100,000.
Listen, you start taking these guys' pocket. Listen, that's the quickest way. That's the quickest way to make a guy tighten up, attack his pocket.
Right. Stop diving on the floor and screaming at the officials and all this stuff. That's the only way to stop it, dude, because the officials aren't going to be good enough to see it in fast motion because the players are so good at making it look like a foul.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, and this is my final point about this topic. The one thing I hate the most about watching basketball these days is after every shot somebody gets up at the rim. They throw their hands up. Every time,
they complain too much, man.
Every time you go for a layup, if someone,
they all do it now. It's
like I hate that. I hate guys that go with the mindset of I want to get fouled here. Like just go up and play ball
and play ball, get the basket.
And if you get fouled, you get fouled.
Right. That's what I'm like.
I think the thing is they're so used to feeling any type of contact and getting a whistle that when they don't get the whistle, they're mad about it. But that'll all stop if you just stop giving them those whistles. You know what I mean? Like,
and that begs the question: was the chicken or the egg? What came first? Is it a ref issue or is it a player issue? What came first? Is it the chicken or the egg thing? And
when you watch the when you watch the Olympics, you watch that style of ball, that EuroLeague ball. Players aren't yelling at the officials every play because there's contact on every play that they're not calling, you know?
Right.
So if
that's a good point.
Calling a lot of this. If like a defender's moving a little bit, like technically it's a foul, but we could ruin the game by calling every single technical
every
foul,
little thing, man. We gotta bring physicality back into the NBA,
and it shows you that these players, they can adjust. They can adjust.
Right.
You know, like you said in the Olympics, Eastwood, they can adjust, right? It takes time, right? But they can adjust to the new flow of the refs, and like you said, those Olympic games, those international contests are way more physical. They're more fun. They're more. There's more strategy behind it. They can adjust. The league just has to decide what they want their product to look like. Like they can decide. They can change this very easily. But I don't think I think they're making so much money overseas, internationally. They damn near don't give a fuck about us in America.
But I think what the NBA thought for a while was like, players scoring 40, 50, 60 points is selling the product, and that's what people want to see. And so they went offensive, and they kept helping the offensive player year after year. And now it's ruining the game. It's not what people want to see. You know what I mean? If you look at Luka Doncic in the EuroLeague averaged 16 points per game because it's just a much more physical game, especially hand checking outside the 3-point line. It's harder to get off those shots. Yeah. And this league has been offensive driven for too long. They need to start giving defensive players a little more leeway.
Especially last season. Like last season, how many players scored above 60 points last season? It was like, how is everybody can't be a star, man. Like, what's going on with the NBA? Not everybody that puts on a uniform and plays in the NBA is an all-star. Why is there so many people scoring 60 or 70 points in a game? Like, I don't understand that.
I remember when you saw somebody score 50 points, that was like
that was a big deal. Now it's 70. We about to get to 100 at Wilt Chamberlain days. We about to get to Wilt Chamberlain type numbers at this point.
Listen, in this league, Wilt Chamberlain probably would average 150 a game. Like in this, it's like what? Like they don't foul? Oh yeah. Like oh man.
Before we get off, I have to get your opinion on the Jimmy Butler rumors, and would you trade Paul George, P8, for Jimmy Butler? Like, how do y'all feel about the rumors? Would you make that trade? If there was a realistic option for that to happen, would you be happy? Would you be satisfied with a trade? Would you do that?
Tone, you go first.
Okay, that begs the question, right? What what does Jimmy Butler? What would Jimmy Butler provide that Paul George couldn't provide or isn't providing? Right now, obviously, Jimmy Butler, his calling card is his intensity, is his commitment to his teammates and how hard he plays, and he changes the mentality of your team. And I feel like the biggest weakness with the Sixers most times is their mentality. So if I could get Jimmy Butler and Paul George, they both battle injuries in their own right.
Yeah, they both do.
So that cancels each other out, right?
About the same age, right?
Yeah, about the same age. I can't say, oh, this guy's hurt more than this guy. They both battle their own fair share of injuries. And then you probably would get Jimmy Butler for a cheaper price tag. I probably would make that. I probably would make that move because of, again, I think the Sixers' biggest issue these days is mentality and commitment and desire and all those kind of things, right? When Jimmy Butler's in the building, everybody's giving 100%. You can't be around him and not give 100%.
Yep.
Right.
So
I love that.
I might make that move. Jimmy Butler not out here with a podcast. He's not out here like the most you got to deal with Jimmy Butler is him coming in with a new hairdo every year. That's the most you got to deal with, and then he trolls in that way. But other than that, I think that'd be a move. I would entertain it. I'll say that I would entertain it.
Tone, I'm with you on it, man. I would for two reasons. The mentality thing is a point that, I mean, it's not even close. Paul George is out there. He looks like he's playing a pickup game with his younger cousins most of the time, dude. He's just jogging, little step back jump shot, little hezzy turnaround fade over Peyton Pritchard, who's 19 inches shorter than him. Like, the mentality's night and day difference. Paul George is a better shooter overall and a better perimeter scorer in the long run. But I think the Sixers, you could benefit more off of Jimmy Butler's mentality than Paul George's perimeter shooting. But I think the biggest reason I would do it is that Paul George is on a 4-year contract and Jimmy Butler has 2 years left. And if your championship window, in my opinion, is 2, maybe 3 years, I don't think Paul George, he might retire by 37. Is he going to be playing at 37? He don't look like he wants to play half the time right now. I can't see 4 years of that guy. If I could get off of 2 years of that contract and get the Jimmy Butler mentality, you're still taking a risk injury-wise, but you're at that risk anyway.
Right.
I would do it immediately. Plus, the fans would run back to the building.
And I'm gonna say this right now. Like, let's be honest, Sixer fans in the check. I see a lot of people saying F no about Jimmy. Think about it like this, y'all. Keep it 1,000. If the game was on the line in the playoffs, and we needed a 3, if we needed a 3 or a 2 to tie the game or get a lead, right? Who do you have more faith in? Jimmy Buckets or PG8? Let's keep it real, man. And let's also keep it all the way real.
To your point, Mike, we've seen Jimmy Butler be the best player on of finals level team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, obviously they didn't win it all, right? But we've seen Jimmy Butler lead his team to the finals and the Eastern Conference Finals on more than one occasion. We've seen that. We saw it in the bubble, and we saw it. What was that? I think it was the year Denver won it all, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, Denver won it. Denver won it. It was the
So we've seen Jimmy Butler turn up in the playoffs. We've seen Jimmy Butler in clutch situations. We've seen Jimmy Butler just elevate his game and elevate people around him on a regular basis. He is a force multiplier, if you ask me.
Right.
Jimmy Butler wants to set the tone, whereas though Paul George, he just wants to tune out.
I just feel like Jimmy Butler just, in my opinion, just brings more to the table than PG. I think he still brings. He's still a solid defender. He can still get you buckets. He's averaging more, 18 points a game. PG's average. What's PG averaging? I forgot.
He's averaging 15.9 points per game, shooting 40%.
He's averaging the same amount of, pretty much the same amount of rebounds, the same amount of assists. And the one thing that Jimmy has that PG has is the mentality. He's not gonna let Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey not bring 120% every single game. And look, man, I feel like, and people that saying in the chat that Jimmy would take away from Tyrese Maxey, I don't believe that.
I don't think so.
I don't believe that at all. He will make Tyrese Maxey better.
Yeah. So. I actually think Jimmy Butler would have relied on Tyrese Maxey to help him coast to a third or fourth quarter. And then Jimmy Butler would have those Jimmy Butler moments. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking for Jimmy to come in and be my primary scorer or my secondary scorer. I'm bringing Jimmy in to play defense. I'm bringing Jimmy in to be a mentality multiplier. And also just we've seen what Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid can do together. We've seen how good they look together. So we got to take. We robbed ourselves of an era. We robbed ourselves of an era because of softness. So
we did.
Softness, man.
But yeah, and again, man, if it doesn't work, then you can move forward a little bit sooner.
Right, it gives you more flexibility. Like, what are you losing really? More
flexibility. Right.
Speaking of Paul George, before we get out of here, what do you guys think of? Hold on a second, I hit the wrong button. Hold on, where's my? Hold on a second. I can't see the bottom of the screen.
By the way, Paul George has been awful the past few games. I mean, just listen to the shot percentage.
Offensively, he's just
26%, 37%, 33%, 16%. Like,
Here
what are we doing?
Here
oh no! Don't do it! Don't do it to me! No! No!
So far this season, Tobias Harris is averaging more points per game, more rebounds per game, more blocks per game, a higher field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, EFG. I don't even know what that means. BPM, VORP. Yeah, and again, Paul George's perimeter defense, especially in the fourth quarter of that Boston Celtics game, is more valuable than anything Tobias Harris is doing on the Detroit Pistons. So people are going to take something like this and take it seriously. I still think clearly Paul George is way more valuable than Tobias Harris. But these numbers are bad.
This is bad, man. We should, yeah. And like, you know what I mean? Like, he brings more defensively, facilitating and all that. And I think he's a better overall player, but man, this ain't looking good. The stats don't tell everything. We know having Tobias Harris on our team. Stats don't tell you everything.
Tobias can't play defense at all. He sucks.
He's an assassin defender, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And anytime all these arguments over the years, I used to get so mad because they would see Tobias Harris D up, somebody in the paint one time, and then they would just be like, they used to say we can't get rid of Tobias Harris because we need his defense. And I used to be like, are you guys watching the same game I'm watching? What? This guy gets smoked on the perimeter. He could not rotate. He's the most flat-footed player, dude. He played defense like a center when he ran out to the three-point line. And Paul George, even at his age right now, is still just uses his size and his wingspan and moves his feet well. He's still a great defender.
Right.
So, but those numbers are bad, man. But he's not going to shoot terrible forever. If he's a little bit better than god awful on the offensive side, and gives you the defense that he gave you in the Celtics game, you can be really good. But I think moving forward, that's one thing I'm looking for from the Sixers is Paul George to come out of it.
Yeah.
Right. I think he will. He just has to make a couple of threes. I mean, instead of being 0 for 7, make a couple of threes and
be a little bit more assertive, be a little bit more physical. You can't have Peyton Pritchard on you on the block and shoot a turnaround fadeaway. Like, what are you doing?
That's how I be.
Man. Make his little ass follow you.
Right.
And then just look, Paul George. I'll be honest, man. He's making me nervous. I know it's early in the season still, right? We're about a third of the, maybe a quarter of the way there, quarter to a third of the way done.
For $200 million, man.
He just makes me nervous on the offensive end. Man, he's too freaking streaky, dude. Like he pulls it in with these 30+ point performances, shooting 60% at both, like on front of the field. And all of a sudden, he goes flat. Like
it's a massive overpay. It's a massive overpay.
No, $211 million for 4 years.
I'm telling you right now, like that's the thing. People are like, well, he's still playing defense. I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's not what a $50 million Alex Caruso.
We need more than that, man.
We got a $50 million Alex Caruso. That's what we did.
Caruso got paid too. Caruso got like a 3-year, $80 million deal, I think.
And people look at a young player like Herb Jones, for example, who's a good 3-point shooter, a 7-foot wingspan, is 23 years old, but Daryl Morey doesn't even know who players like that are. He sees the name and he goes and signs them. That's all he does.
I agree, 100%.
You could get that's what I'm saying. You can get these skill sets for way less than $50 million. Yeah,
true. I agree. Definitely.
All right, boys. I think we did it again, man. Sixers Saturdays. I knocked my sign over. You guys got anything else before we get out of here?
No, I'm good, man. Listen, like I said, it was exciting to see them win that game on Christmas. It was important. It was an important win. It was the first Celtics matchup of the year. You did it on the road. Your stars, for the most part, showed up. Maxey and Embiid, right? Your role players showed up for the most part. Caleb Martin, Yabusele, guys like that. So it was a great win, exciting win. Hopefully, it's a sign of things to come. I'm still treading lightly with this team, though.
For me, I'm
Fair.
just going to be a delusional fan. And I still believe, you know what I'm saying? I still believe, and I feel like it's all about building chemistry. And if we can play the back-to-backs with Joel Embiid and Paul George, I feel like sky's the limit for this team. And also, I have 2 channels, y'all. I have Mike Sports Vibes, that's for football, and Mike Sports Vibes Ballin' is my new channel for just the Sixers. So I'm just letting y'all know because I know there's 2 channels. There's Mike Sports Vibes, that's going to be for my football channel. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, 300 people in here watching, and if you're listening back to this, go over to Mike Sports Vibes Ball and follow his new Sixers channel where he has all of his Sixers takes and opinions.
Yep.
And if you're not subscribed to Chalk It Up Sports, if you're not subscribed to Tone to Shields, Chalk It Up Sports, subscribe to him also, and hit the like button one time.
Appreciate it.
We'll be back. We'll be back next Saturday, every Saturday, Sixers Saturday. Shout out to the guys. And shout out to the viewers and listeners. We'll see you soon.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Take care, y'all.